In this video, I'm going to answer a commonly asked question. What's better for busy professionals, HIIT or steady state training? The short answer is it's the wrong question. It was never a competition. You should think of HIIT and steady state training as two different tools that do two completely different jobs. If you ask a hammer to do a screwdriver's job, you're not going to blame the hammer. You'd blame the person that gave it to you. The real question is how much of each should you have in your program? Remember, it's the dose that makes the poison. This brings me back to the concept of gas tank and gas pedal. Joel Jamieson's Bioforce conditioning course has become the industry standard for strength and conditioning coaches. This course changed my whole belief system around conditioning. Joel's entire philosophy comes down to one central idea, that your aerobic energy system powers everything else. If you skip out on building your aerobic engine, your efficient HIIT sessions have nothing to fuel them. You're basically redlining a car with no oil in the engine. Most people can grasp the car analogy, which is why I like to use the concepts of gas tank and gas pedal. Your aerobic system is your gas tank, and steady state conditioning builds the capacity of your gas tank. Your higher intensity work, such as HIIT, opens up the fuel lines directly to your gas pedal. If your gas tank is empty, stepping on the gas pedal isn't very effective. But if you have a well-defined engine and a full gas tank, well, stepping on the gas pedal can be kind of fun. Dr. Martin Gabala is the researcher with a flagship HIIT protocol, the 1 minute workout. The 1 minute workout consists of three 20-second all-out efforts with 2 minutes of rest between intervals. It's only 60 seconds of high-intensity interval work completed in less than 10 minutes. And it produces real, measurable improvements to both VO2 max and insulin sensitivity. That's not some made-up claim. There's actually published research on this. Now, before you get all excited and you start taking the approach of if some is good, then more has to be better, I need you to remember, it's the dose that makes the poison. The 1 minute workout is fine. It's only 60 seconds of actual work. You could probably do this 2 times a week, maybe 3 if you're really well conditioned. But 20 to 30 minutes of actual HIIT work in a single session is a recovery nightmare. I'd love to tell you that a few HIIT sessions every week would negate the need for steady state conditioning, but it just doesn't. Those are two different tools for two completely different energy systems. You need both. This is like arguing over what's more important for your survival, oxygen or water. Good luck taking sides on that one. So where did all this nonsense come from that you only need HIIT? Like many other coaches, I was taught the very same thing when I first got started. I was actually told by other coaches that that was the science behind HIIT. It wasn't until somebody actually showed me the research that I completely understood. And this is what led me to the Bioforce conditioning course. There's another HIIT study, the 1996 Tabata research, that led to the belief that if you're doing HIIT, you didn't need steady state training. This cherry picking of information from the 6-week study overlooks the fact that this was done on Olympic level speed skaters who already had elite levels of conditioning. The Tabata protocol is 20 seconds of work with 10 seconds of rest for 8 rounds, 4 minutes total. During the study, they performed this 4 times a week with 1 steady state training day. And before you tell yourself that you're working hard enough, it's important to point out that the HIIT group in this study was working at 170% of their VO2 max for the 20-second work periods. For comparison, the steady state group in this study did 60 minutes of steady state work 5 days a week at 70% of their VO2 max. To everyone's surprise, at the end of the study, the steady state group actually had a slightly higher VO2 max than the HIIT group. However, the HIIT group had improved their anaerobic capacity by a whopping 28%. The steady state group didn't see any gains in this area. You need to remember this was done with Olympic athletes. Most people don't like working at 100% of their VO2 max, let alone 170% of their VO2 max. These Olympic athletes had exceptionally developed aerobic systems going into the study. Steady state training doesn't tax your recovery in the same way that HIIT does. Too much HIIT training begins to infringe on your ability to recover from strength training and your personal and professional stress. How much work you can effectively recover from is more important than how much work you can do. If you're a busy professional, both steady state training and HIIT play a role in your overall conditioning. They just need to have the right dose. We all have 3 energy systems: the aerobic energy system, the glycolytic, and the alactic energy system. As I mentioned earlier, steady state training builds your aerobic system, your gas tank. This is lower intensity work and it takes longer for it to be effective. The intensity is usually performed between 60 and 75% of your max heart rate. Moderate intensity work builds your glycolytic system. This is gas pedal work and is performed between 70 and 85% of your max heart rate. A well-defined aerobic system can run for hours, but the glycolytic system tends to power our activity for efforts between 30 seconds and 90 seconds. Now, the glycolytic energy system isn't chemically balanced like the other two systems, the aerobic and the lactic. So if you spend too much time with intensity in the glycolytic energy system, it will begin to produce excess lactate. This is what causes the burn in your muscles, and your body struggles to clear this. Most people that are doing HIIT training aren't recovering adequately between work intervals, and they end up training glycolytic, not alactic. Higher intensity work builds your alactic system. This is where power training resides, and this is gas pedal work performed between 80 to 95% of your max effort, not necessarily max heart rate. Alactic work is performed in short bursts, ideally less than 10 seconds, because this energy system is fully depleted in about 15 seconds of work. The reason we define the effort here as max effort and not max heart rate is because the work's over in less than 15 seconds, and there's a delay before your heart rate could possibly catch up. Remember the Tabata athletes working at 170% of their VO2 max for the 20-second work intervals? This requires elite levels of aerobic conditioning to even entertain the idea of doing that level of intensity for more than 2 rounds, let alone 8 rounds. When it comes to your conditioning, having a well-developed aerobic energy system is the foundation for the glycolytic and the alactic energy system. For busy professionals, your weekly conditioning volume should be 70 to 80% aerobic, 15 to 20% glycolytic, and 5 to 10% alactic. This allows you to develop all 3 energy systems without compromising your strength gains or your overall recovery. If you're not sure where your conditioning fits into your overall training, ask your coach. This wasn't designed to be a do-it-yourself video, more of a here's why we programmed it video. Hopefully this gives you more context to your overall conditioning. See you on the Echo Bike.